All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Locke, and I'm the IBPA member liaison. And you are at one of our Get to Know Your Member Benefits. And this is a new series we're doing, and we're trying to give people a more in-depth look at all the different benefits that we have. And this one is, we're very excited about IBPA's new health insurance program, which is in partnership with Lighthouse Insurance Group Solutions and 10 other associations called the Book Industry Health Insurance Partnership, BIHIP. I'm going to now tell you a little bit about our wonderful presenter. This is Tim McNichols, and here is his bio. After serving as Director of Business Development and Corporate Marketing, Tim McNichols was promoted to Executive Director of Partnerships. A graduate of Cleveland State University, McNichols has an extensive background in working for and with associations, media companies, and marketing organizations, and has driven LIG's association and member-based organization insurance partnership programs to include agreements with more than 50 groups nationwide. So, Tim, I'm going to throw it over to you. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for being here, because I'm also interested in learning some of the details about the program. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having us. And we're really excited to be partnered with your organization and all of the, as we're calling them, the BIHIP groups, all the members that make up this collaborative, which, has been an interesting conversation. We really started talking with you guys just a year ago with Angela, and here we are a year later, and we actually have it launched, and we're very excited. It's been great to talk to a lot of the members from your organization and others that are from this collaboration with all the different book organizations. As Chris mentioned, my name is Tim McNichols. I'm the Executive Director of Partnerships here at LIG Solutions. A couple of our just housekeeping things is we will try to keep this at about 45 minutes, about 30 or so for the presentation, and we allow about 15 minutes or so for a Q&A, and if we need to go a little bit longer, we can. Obviously, Chris has mentioned ask your questions, put those into the chat function within WebEx here. This is obviously being recorded, and if you do have questions, we have a number of different ways for you to get in contact with us, but you can reach out directly to us at our LIG marketing at lighthousequotes.com. We'll share a couple of the other ways as we get a little deeper into the presentation today. But our goal is ultimately just to explain to you on a high level what this program is about and how you can take advantage of it. One of the things you'll hear me talk about a lot today is that this is a unique program. It's not a one-size-fits-all program. It is not an association health plan. Those are not legally allowed to be started right now. That may change, and if it does, it's something that we would look to include in our overall offering because it's a good solution as an option, but it's not a complete solution. So at the end of the day, we actually bring together a lot of different types of coverage options and types of coverages, just basically pulling everything together for you in a concierge approach. And this is going to help you, your family, if you have a business and your employees. It's designed to actually work with all of those aspects of the membership of your organization. So we'll get a little more into that as we hit these slides. Chris did a great job introducing me, but I just wanted to say again, we've spent a lot of time. Our company has been in existence since 2009. Our CEO and founder actually started this right before the Affordable Care Act started, and knew that people would need help navigating the changes that were happening then with the health insurance market. Pretty much up to that point, everybody got their coverage through an employer. There wasn't a lot of options beyond that. And over the years, it's grown and changed. We're now a national organization. We're licensed in all 50 states. And we had kind of informally been working with associations prior to my coming on board a little over 2 years ago. And because of my background of being an association executive, as well as working within the association industry as an industry partner for literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of associations through my career, I was brought on to build out this program formally. And we've been recognized by some of the trade press, which is what you see a little bit here. But the idea is that it brings together a solution that has not been available in the past in the type of program that we have with real insurance. We'll get into that in a little bit here as well. I wanted to spend a little time here just to say kind of what our agenda ultimately is. We're going to talk about the aspects of this program. It's a solution for all members of the association. What is the landscape right now of health coverage? Here in 2020, there's a lot of rules. It's heavily regulated. and we look at how that works and how we can work within it. We can even talk a little bit about what might be happening down the road, which I've hinted around a little bit about the things like an association health plan, if those are deemed legal. We'll see what happens there. Talk a little bit about our group program, which is our group HRA, to give you a little understanding of that, how it works for a business and their employees, and then talk a little bit about how you can access this program when you are a member of IBPA. And then obviously we'll have time for the question and answers at the end of this. When we start looking at this program, this is done through LIG Solutions. For our business partners, when we start having a business that is looking to take advantage of this program, we do utilize a partner of ours called PeopleKeep. They're our administrator for our group HRA program. It's really more of a back office and the way to administer the program. So just wanted you to be aware that, you know, if you do talk to us about the group elements, that at some point we will probably bring in our PeopleKeep partner as part of that conversation. But I'd like to, you know, bring that up so that everybody knows where things are at, and we never ever are trying to hide anything for you or your families or businesses or employees. But as I've mentioned, you know, this is a program that's very comprehensive. It allows coverage for individuals and families, independent contractors and 1099s, as well as business owner and their W-2 employees, and it really has no limits. It can be one employee, it could be, you know, just your family. You know, there really isn't a starting point to, you know, say you have to have 5 or 10 employees, for example, or, you know, you have to have a certain level of participation before anybody can join. This can start today. The only real limitations is, you know, if you need individual coverage, what time of the year it is, and the types of coverages you will be able to access. You probably have all heard of open enrollment. That's something I'll touch on a little bit later on, but just know that, you know, there are coverage options throughout the year for you, your families, and your businesses. We offer competitive pricing and affordable options. And ultimately, at the end of the day, this is done through a concierge approach with our W-2 staff that's based out of our headquarters here in Cleveland, Ohio. And obviously right now, a lot of our staff is actually still working remote, but they're all still our W-2 employees. They're salaried, not commissioned. It's not a high pressure sale, but we're here to walk you through the options and see what is the best fit for you and your situation. You know, we talked a little bit about, you know, the solution. And when we look at this, it's access to that affordable coverage. It's tailored to your financial and your health needs. And that's important because this is not that one size fits all cookie cutter approach, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to actually get a plan that works for you. It's based on where you live at, where your employees live at. It's not, you know, just through one company like a Blue Cross or an Aetna or something along those lines. And we work with this concierge approach with our licensed advisor team, who are going to walk you through this whole process. It's simple. It does not take a lot of time, and it takes a lot of the headache and angst away from having to find insurance coverage options. When we start looking at it from a business standpoint, you know, the solutions that we use is a group HRA program, which stands for a health reimbursement arrangement. As I mentioned earlier, it starts with just one employee. It's not limited, and it allows for a customized plan that has the look and feel of a traditional group plan with major medical, vision, dental, and other supplemental coverages. So it is a group plan. It just is done a little bit differently. At the end of the day, for your employees, they're going to see a big change in the benefit, that they are able to have choice now and not have that one size fits all approach, which we'll get into a little bit more here. When we look at coverage options that are available now, like what is that landscape for an organization? As we talked about, there's the individual approach, which we, you know, already discussed. But there's then, you know, employee sponsor plans, which, you know, if you're working for a company and you have a traditional group plan, it is group health insurance. You also do have the health reimbursement arrangements. Those are the typical options that you're going to have with an employee sponsored plan. Those are where the business has the coverage options for you, or through that program. It's done, you know, with you know, pre-tax money. It's a formalized program. It's the traditional group plan, or it's the HRA program. Some organizations, some smaller ones especially, they may use taxable stipends or wage increases that they give you to, you know, help maybe buy or offset the cost of insurance if you're buying it on the individual market. And of course, you have the individual healthcare plans, which you may be familiar with it of called ACA or Obamacare plans. You also have what they call short-term plans, which is slightly misleading because they're not as short-term as they used to be. There are some conditions with those types of plans, but they're used for certain and specific reasons, especially when you're outside of open enrollment. We also have a full suite of supplemental type coverages with vision, dental, critical illness, hospitalization, Aflac. This is all done a la carte, so it's not something you have to buy them all, but we're going to be able to build that plan that works best for you, and we're going to do a needs analysis when we talk with you on the phone with our licensed agents to find out what it is that you need. Is it a full comprehensive program? Is it just basic medical care coverage? And then, of course, we also have Medicare and Medicare Advantage. So if you're over or approaching the age of 65, you can take full advantage of Medicare and Medicare Advantage with our program, and we're able to help you, pretty much at any time of your life. I use this example frequently that, when you start looking at the types of people that are out there, if you have somebody that's 26 that just aged out of mom and dad's policy, somebody who's 36 married with, say, 2 children, and somebody who's 64 and looking to age into Medicare in 6 months, I think everybody would agree that they all do not need the exact same kind of healthcare coverage. And we're going to be able to help all of those individuals. That person that needs just basic health insurance when they're 26, more than likely healthy, really need to go see a doctor once a year for a physical, and they don't have any pre-existing conditions typically. They're going to need a certain kind of insurance. That 36-year-old that's married with 2 children, they want to probably make sure that doctors like pediatricians and OVs are in network. They may have a prescription drug that they want to make sure is covered. We're going to be able to walk you through and make sure that that is the case before you would ever buy anything. Making sure your doctors are in network, and all of those things that are important when you're at that stage in your life. And the same goes when you're looking at that transition into Medicare. What do you need today to get you to the point where Medicare kicks in? And then what is that coverage that you need when you have Medicare? Medicare in itself is not the only answer. Most people find that they have to have one of the supplemental coverages, and our team can actually go through that. They're fully licensed and are going to be able to walk you through what those options are. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and we can answer some questions at the end if you have it. One of the things I like to bring up is, when you look at that landscape of where things are at, and this is good for people that need individual coverage as well as businesses. When you look at what is that coverage options when you start looking at size of businesses, and this is kind of the range that we deal with here. But you look at this chart on the right, and you have a line for companies that have 3 to 6 workers, another line for 10 to 199. Another line for that's over 200, and then all firms. And I find this interesting when you look at the lowest one on the screen, which is on average about 50%. It varies there, as you can see, by year. The last year that this covers was 2019, and it was 47% of firms that have under 10 employees offer health insurance to their employees. And a lot of the times the reasons they're not doing that is because they can't find an affordable solution, or they can't get coverage through group plans because they want more employees. And sometimes it's just the fact that when you have under 50 employees, you're not mandated to have health insurance. But most people find in a competitive job market that having that health insurance as a benefit is huge. And you may experience that on either having been employed by a company like that, or have a company that's in that size range. Then you look at the 10 to 199, and about 71% offer health coverage on average, and that was the last year of 2019. And when you get into that 200 plus, nearly 100%, it's 99%, but it averages out to be about 57% of companies offer some type of health coverage. And what our goal is to try to raise that up where it's affordable for a business to offer coverage to their employees and offer choice. And this comes back to what we talked about before with what that style is, where you have the wage increases and stipends. There's some good and bad to that, is that it's not really a health benefit. It could possibly be used for healthcare if it's deemed as that for the employee. It doesn't mean they have to. They're not mandated. And you could consider it affordable because you can, just give somebody, $100 and say, use this towards buying your health insurance, but it's still, isn't going to cover a significant portion of that. Then you have traditional group health insurance, which is a health benefit. It is obviously used for healthcare. And the question always is it affordable? Because the rates can be so challenging with rate increases and not a lot of control over that. And then we look at the health reimbursement arrangement program that we have, where it is a health benefit, it is used for healthcare, and it is deemed affordable because you can actually pick the contribution level that a business wants to use for that and their employees. So just to give you a little background on what an HRA is on our group approach, but it's considered a health reimbursement arrangement. This is a designation, from the government. This is a true group health plan, as the government recognizes. It's where you use pre-tax or have a tax deductible component where the employer is able to use that as a tax deduction, and the employee is getting access to funds from the employer on a pre-tax or tax-free basis that they use to buy their health insurance. We work with them, of course, to do that. But how it works is the employer sets aside a specific dollar amount. We work with you to figure out what that is each month that the employee can then use to get their health coverage options taken care of. And it's like you do with a traditional plan. It can cover, somebody that's married and with children at a certain level, married, no children at a certain level, single with children at a certain level, and single, for example. There's also an age variance in there, so you can have somebody that's a little bit older have a little bit more because policies tend to be a little more expensive as you get older. So there's a lot of different pieces that we can put together, and we do all that heavy lifting for you, so it's something that you don't have to worry about and figure out on your own. So our team of agents, along with our partner PeopleKeep, work with you to figure out what is the best approach. As most companies that do offer health coverage offer it at that kind of 50 to 75% level. We figure out what that would look like when you're doing this group HRA component, and again, how can that be affordable and make it something that is a true benefit for your employees, that they see value and gives them that choice. We talked about this, and we'll get into this just a little bit, and we can answer some questions at the end. But again, you determine that benefit allowance for your employees. It's set up where it's an account-based approach, but they don't actually keep the money like you would with an FSA or HSA. It's set up to be used just for the health benefits. The employee buys the plan that fits their personal needs for themselves and their family, and they use those expenses to pay for their premiums and things along those lines. We use our PeopleKeep partner. It's a software platform that they have in the background that actually allows them the employee to upload the receipts to allow for that reimbursement of the health premiums, and then any requests. It's basically a back office management system. Once it's set up, it's very user friendly, and there's not a lot of work that an employer has to do, but it allows them to have that access and add and take employees out, that kind of thing. And the employee receives the healthcare reimbursement. It's, they paid for that coverage. They now are getting reimbursed for that. They pay their portion just like they would with a traditional group plan. So it has, again, that look and feel of a traditional plan with a lot more flexibility built into it. And then we start talking about who uses an HRA. And one of the things I always like to point out is that, if you are an individual and you actually have, say, an LLC, it can be just one person. So if you look on the right, it can be that one person, that one employee. It doesn't have to be you. If you are an S Corp, we'll talk a little about that. There's different ways of handling that. Other organizations that look at using this are, people that are offering current group, but they're just looking for an alternative, something that they're, just not happy with their current group plan, or they want to have something that's a little more affordable. Businesses that aren't offering current employee benefits around health coverage is something that we do. And then somebody that's considering supplemental coverage options, because there are solutions that if you're offering a traditional group, that you can do some things with the HRA to do vision and dental and some other elements. So it really is, I encourage you, if you are wanting to at least find out what this is, to contact us as a member of IBPA, and we can walk you through what those options are. Again, just another slide or two on the HRA component, but it allows choice for the employee, and they work with our team to go through that concierge approach for the employee. It works with any budget. It works for businesses of all sizes. As I mentioned, there's no minimum participation, so it can be one employee, it could be thousands. That really is up to you and your business how you want it to look. But it has that look and feel of a traditional group plan without the downside or pitfalls of worrying about, did I pick the right plan? Are my employees going to be covered? If you get one single Blue Cross plan, a lot of your employees, doctors may not be in network. You don't have to worry about that anymore, because we're going to work with them to find the plans that actually do work for them. And if you have 10 employees or 50 employees, you realistically would have 10 or 50 different variations of plans that your employees would end up picking, and you're not having to worry about that process for yourself. It's working with them one-on-one to get that done. One of the questions we get asked, is this real insurance? And absolutely it is. We work with every carrier that's available. We work with every carrier in the country, both national and regional names that you're familiar with: Anthem, Aetna, Humana, United Healthcare, Oscar, Blue Cross, the list goes on. And it's all based on where you live at or where your employees are based at. So if you have employees in multiple states, yourself live in, Florida and you cover for someone in Texas or vice versa. It's across the board for individuals and families. Insurance. If you're using a group plan with this HRA, it has to be an ACA compatible plan. You can't use any of the off exchange or short-term plans. It has to be an ACA plan. But we as a company, we're compliant across all 50 states. We're licensed in all 50 states. This is a concierge approach, as I've mentioned, where we work with you to find that exact plan that you would need for yourself, family, or business employees. Again, it starts at just one life and it goes to unlimited. So there isn't a lot of restrictions on it. One of the things that we get asked a lot as well is, things like vision, dental, obviously Medicare, but there's a lot of other elements to this with hospitalization, critical illness. But we have a full suite of health-related solutions for you and for your family and for your businesses. This also is something where we can look at life if this is needed, but the idea is that we'll create a custom solution for you. It doesn't really change the price. You're never going to have extra costs outside the premiums when you're doing an individual or group. Individual or family. If you do have a group, it's a very low monthly fee for that program, much less than you would have with a traditional group plan. And we can talk about that. We waive the startup fees as well for members of IBPA. But at the end of the day, this allows you and your employees, depending on how you guys need your insurance, to pick the plans and premiums that make the most sense. We can work with you to figure out deductibles and all those little details that no one likes to do, and that's why we can do it with our team for you and make it a quick process. Who is covered? This is a question we get a lot of times. If you're looking at an HRA, this is something that you want to have for W-2 employees and their families. C Corp owners, LLCs, and some other classifications all can use the HRA. If you're a sole proprietor, but you're set up as an LLC or something along those lines, you can take full advantage of this. We do say to check with your tax accountant if you're looking at that type of scenario, because there may be some benefits, especially if you're an S Corp owner in your family, to do it as part of your tax deductions at the end of the year as opposed to using the HRA. If you're a sole proprietor without one of those designations or you're a 1099 contractor, you want to stick with the individual coverage options that we're talking about. And that's where we can just sit down, with you and figure out what that best solution is based on your scenario. So this is a choice for the members. It's when we get into this of the questions that we'll ask, the types of things that you need. We're really going to look at what is that health option for you, for your family. You need Medicare if you need, as a sole proprietor, you need it as a W-2 employee. We're not asking for a lot of information outside of just your name and your contact information, and we'll have then the ability to set up an appointment with you either by calling or by getting with us. And we'll get more into that as we get into this conversation with you. But to get more information, obviously Chris has posted up some of the links that are on your website where you can take a look at that. You can also visit the ligmembers.com page, which you see the address here for individuals and families. It'll give you some basic information. If you want full access to the program, obviously you need to be a member, and that information would have been sent to you as an email this past week ago, actually a little over a week ago, as well as Chris, I believe it's in a back office system or your members only accessible area of the link. Is that correct?
Right, yeah, and we have the IBPA membership benefits handbook, so there'll be that information in there because only members have access to that handbook.
Okay. So, there's a number of different ways for you to do that. But, here, if you have questions, obviously you can reach out to us. I'll have my contact information here again at the end if you have some specific questions. If you're a non-member, obviously we highly encourage you to become a member of IBPA. That way you have full access to it. You can, get onto the landing page that we have, has a lot of the basic information. You can call in, at that point and ask questions and talk directly with one of our licensed advisors. We have a specific team here at LIG that works with all of our association partners. They are very versed in speaking with members. They understand, the needs and wants of a member of an association like yours. And, it's really for us, it's about having a great member experience for you. I mean, I don't think anybody looks forward to talking health insurance. I know my wife doesn't like me talking about health insurance on a regular basis when I come home from work, but at the same time, we know it's necessary, and we're here to help you guys to have those conversations and, find out what is the best approach for you. Just so you know, one of the questions we get a lot too is time. If you do call us and you're a member and we go through this process with you, it takes 20 to 40 minutes. The range is, if we have to start checking doctors and prescription networks, it can take a little bit longer. But if you're looking at coverage now, or as you look into open enrollment, you're going to look at that about 20 to 40 minute time frame. If this is for a business and we're doing it with your employees, it's typically going to take about 20 minutes because a lot of that stuff is already set up. A lot of the information that we need has already been inputted into the system. So really at that point, it's having the conversation with them about the type of coverages that they need. So it takes that 20 to 30 minute range if they're an employee and we're going through that. Again, if you have questions specific about this, you can send me an email. My email address is tnicknichols, which is TMCNICHOLS @lighthousequotes.com. My direct dial phone number is 216-487-6152. And you can visit our main landing page, which is just our General Association member page, which is the ligmembers.com. And you can look at some of the things that are there and how the basic program works. Or I highly encourage you to look into the chat box. And Chris has very nicely put up a number of links there that can give you a lot of this basic information. They did an exceptional job of outlining the programs, not just within your organization, but within all of the members of BIHIP. A lot of stuff that we've actually taken and started to use on our own because it was so well written, which I would expect nothing less of a group that's related to the written word and books and publishing. So we really appreciate that. And with that said, if we have any questions, this is typically where we would get into those. If you have questions, type them into that chat box. There are quite a few that we get on a regular basis that I'll be able to answer as well. And I think Chris maybe even had one or two that he may want to throw out where we can answer those questions for you and get that information. Here, I must say I'm not a licensed agent or advisor, so I can't get into really detailed questions about coverage options. I can kind of do it at a high level, but I must tell you that I am not a licensed advisor, but we'd be able to get that information if need be from one of our licensed agents and have them contact you offline if needed.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, and while we're waiting to see if there are some more questions coming in from the chat, I had one general thing that you and I talked about that I thought might be good to point out was that right now you're an IBPA member, and some people on this are not IBPA members, but you can sign up through this whole program through IBPA, but if for whatever reason at some point your IBPA membership expires, you do not lose the health insurance. And that's, Tim, you can fill in on that, but I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no way that can happen. I mean, you buy the policy, it's your policy. So if you're a member today and you were to buy a policy today, and in 6 months for some reason you are no longer a member, or your employee is not an employee of the organization, they can keep that for that renewal period or up until that renewal period. That length of time. And a normal major medical, which is like an ACA or a like what they call Obamacare, something along those lines, those are usually done on 12-month increments. The short term can be as little as like 3 months, sometimes 6, they can go up to 3 years. That's why it's a little misleading to say short term, but the idea is that can be gotten for a certain period of time, which also kind of goes into the idea of open enrollment, which is a question we get a lot about. I'll answer that here in a moment, but a lot of times those short-term plans are used as a bridge to get you from, say, today to open enrollment, or for a specific need. You've been furloughed or lost job and you don't want to get COBRA. Short-term plans are always a really good option. There are some limitations to those because there are some constraints on pre-existing conditions, things along those lines. But anytime you come and talk to us, we're going to do that needs analysis. And if we find out that you've had something like you have diabetes, you've had cancer, a short term is not going to be a solution for you, and we won't even really talk about that unless there's a compelling reason to, and you really want to go that route. But all the solutions we have are flexible. But the idea again is, we'll talk about open enrollment here in a second, and a lot of things that we're doing are leading up to open enrollment. And for those that know, open enrollment, there's a specific time of the year for individuals and families to get health coverage. And it's a question we get a lot of, but open enrollment for the majority of the country is November 1st through December 15th. California and New York do things a little differently, as they always do. Both of them go longer than that December 15th date. They go into January. California actually starts a little bit earlier. I believe this year they're around the 15th of October. And I'll have to double check that, but they're right in that the middle October range when they start their open enrollment. But it's a long period of time, so it's not really a big deal there. It's not short. If you're doing Medicare open enrollment initial enrollment is October 15th through early December, which I believe it's the 7th. And there's a secondary open enrollment in January if you've decided that you don't like the plan you have. You can't get a new plan unless you already have one, but you can switch plans in that January and February timeframe. If you just find out that the plan you did get just doesn't fit your needs. But that's stuff we work through with you, and we have a full customer service team here. But the idea is that you want to be conscious of that open enrollment period. You can get coverage at any time of the year. If you have had a QLE, which they call a qualifying life event, you've been laid off, had a job change, gotten married, gotten divorced, birth of a child, you've moved. Those are all things that they consider a QLE or qualifying life event, which allows you to have access to the full ACA. You can really have access to any type of coverage that's out there. If you haven't had a QLE and you need a coverage today, your options are a little more limited. You'll probably be looking at a short-term plan right now. We use those this time of the year as a bridge, really to get you from now until that open enrollment period. And just know that even in open enrollment, those policies don't kick in until January 1. So anything that you would buy as a open enrollment policy would kick in on January 1st. So those short-term plans can be really beneficial to get you at least minimal coverage now. And they're real insurance. It's just that there are some limitations on the pre-existing conditions. But they would get you that bridge from now over to the January 1st start date. So that's what we do a lot of for this time of the year to get people in there. And for some, it's actually the best option. It's affordable if you don't see a doctor very often and you just want basic medical insurance. That's a good way to go. But we have a full suite of vision, dental, critical illness, and those can be done at just about any time of the year as well. As a company, we don't do liability insurance, homeowners or car. We know what we do well, and we do really well at health-related coverage options. We do have life if needed as well, but the idea is that we stay within that health-related component.
Yeah, and on that note, Tim, Terry was asking for open enrollment. Does it end this month for the Affordable Care Act?
No, actually, some of the states had opened up theirs. Like California, I believe, went into they reopened into August, but they're going to reopen everything again on either November 1st or December or October 15th, depending on what state you're in. So the open enrollment as a rule, not looking at COVID 2020, because there's some funky things that happened this year, is that November 1st through December 15th as the norm for most of the country. Some states did leave or did reopen their exchanges, but not the federal exchange. So the federal exchange covers about 30 states, California, New York, some other states like that, Nevada, Massachusetts, Washington State, Colorado. Those all have state exchanges, which are a little bit different. They follow the same platform, but they can do things a little bit differently as far as when they open and when they close their exchanges. So that may be what you're referring to.
Yeah, and one other question I had that might be helpful for people. What is the benefit of specifically signing up when you're an IBPA member through this program versus just, if you're not a member or whatever? Like, why should they do it now as an IBPA member?
Well, if you go and you went to the state exchange or the federal exchange, either during open enrollment or if you had a qualifying life event by yourself, first, you're going to do it by yourself. Your options are limited just to basically major medical through that program. You're not going to have access to any of the short-term plans, any of the off-exchange plans, which are really direct to carrier, because we have those carrier relationships, we can go right to them and find plans that are not on the exchanges, but are still ACA plans. You're not going to have access to any of the supplemental coverages, vision or dental or hospitalization or any of those types of things. So we've put it all together in one package for you, and you don't have someone that's going to actually do the work for you. You're going to actually do it on your own. Most people find that they spend a lot more time than 20 minutes if they go onto the state exchange, and then they still need to go and find a solution for those supplemental coverages. And then if you look at things like Medicare, yeah, you can go onto the Medicare exchange and buy a Medicare plan, but again, any of those supplemental coverage that you need, you actually need to work with a licensed broker to find access and really build that plan that works best for you. So that's the thing that we do is we bring this together. We do have preferred pricing on the supplemental coverages, the pricing that you're going to get on the major medical is set. There is no such thing. I mean, a lot of people think they get discounts because they're in a group or because they're part of a group, but rates at the end of the day are set with either the state or federal governments. The rates that we get for our individual, as well as say a broker that's doing like traditional group, they're basically the same. If somebody's telling you they're getting you a discount, it's usually because you're going to get a different plan, not the plan you were looking at. They're going to take doctors networks out. They're going to take and change the prescription drugs on you. It's a different plan than what you had originally been looking at. And so you're not getting that same kind of coverage. Here, we're very transparent. It's not a high pressure sale, and we're going to be able to help you do that easily and quickly and affordably and find that best solution for you.
Well, I don't think we have any other questions. So, Tim, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it, not just for this webinar, but just for helping to get this whole thing going. You know, at IBPA, this is something that we had talked about for a while, years. And the reason we wanted to do it was because when your health insurance is tied to your job, it can be very scary if you leave that job or you're laid off or whatever. And we very much care about just our members and making sure that they're safe and that they're covered. And so this was something we've been trying to work on for a very long time so that they don't have to have that fear of, oh my gosh, if I lose my job, I'm going to lose my health insurance. So thank you, really. Thank you for helping to make this happen, because I think it's going to be a huge benefit to our membership.
I agree, and we really appreciate the opportunity here to work with you and your members, as well as all those within this what we're calling the BIHIP group, but all the book related organizations. It was great having a conversation last year, really this time last year, with Angela and Brian over at the Book Industry Study Group. Those were the first two people that I had met with. I know you guys looked at a lot of different solutions, and I'm glad we were able to create something here that was able to work for not just your organization, but all the members within the BIHIP organization here. So it's been a great experience, and it's really looking forward to working with you and your members now and into the future for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim. And thank you everyone for coming to the webinar. We appreciate it. Don't forget there's one for QuickBooks next week. So hopefully we'll see you at that one. And please have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.